I am excited to talk about the Baltimore Ravens. This is a team that has come in and totally revamped a lot of stuff this offseason, whether it's top to bottom on the offensive coaching staff, just getting everyone lined up. I think they've been going through a 2-year rebuild here thing with passing game coordinators, offensive coordinators, but they've set themselves up really, really well, I think, to have a breakout season this year. But there's one player in particular on this offense that I think will truly be the breakout star of the 2023 season.
Yeah, Miles, I could not agree more. I think there's one guy in particular, and you've got a great report highlighting that. But before we get into that, Ravens fans, want you to answer this question, as always, in the comment section below. Miles alluded to it in the opening. You obviously made a change at the coordinator position, offensive coordinator position. And when you make changes as an assistant coach, sometimes it's for the better, which it is in this case. But sometimes there's some really good assistants that leave your program. The Ravens have had that happen a number of times. So in the comment section below, give me an example of the best assistant coach in Baltimore Ravens history. I think there's a lot of great ones, but I'm really curious what you guys have to see. So give us the best Ravens assistant in team history in the comment section below. All right, Miles, what do you got? What's the latest out of Baltimore?
Yeah, Nick, when we talk about the Ravens, we talk about a lot of greats. And greats, there have been so many great tight ends on this team, whether you're talking about, Todd Heaps, the Dennis Pittas, Mark Andrews, most notably recently. And in between, there's a lot of guys at that second level as well. You talk about the Dixons. There's really a great amount of tight end talent throughout history in this team. But I think there's one guy up and coming, and that's young guy Isaiah Likely, who I think is set to have a breakout season this year. We've got an article here that's going to show that, let it come to light a little bit. Let's get on into it, Nick. This is, of course, over from on SI.com. This is a big Baltimore Ravens target emerging beyond Mark Andrews at tight end. According to a new group on NFL.com, it is Likely. No pun intended there. That's his name. Sophomore tight end Isaiah Likely was named to the all-breakout team on the league's official site, repping the offensive side along with NFC North rivals George Pickens and Kenny Pickett from Pittsburgh. Likely is entered his second season in the Charm City after he arrived as a fourth-round choice out of Coastal Carolina in the 2022 draft. Team compiler Bucky Brooks believed that Likely can be one of the major playmakers in Phase 2 of the Lamar Jackson era, which is set to kick off after a franchise quarterback inked a new long-term contract over the season. Likely is poised to make a major impact in year 2 as part of the Ravens' offensive makeover that could turn Lamar Jackson-led Ravens into an aerial circus under new coordinator Todd Monken. Brooks writes, with opponents focusing on the passing game weapons like Odell Beckham, Mark Andrews, Rashad Bateman, and first-round pick Zay Flowers, Likely could produce big play after big play as a designated seam runner against two-deep coverage. That's really interesting to me, Nick, because in college, Likely was a playmaker for Coastal Carolina. He's probably one of the best players on the field at any given time. This guy was a stud in college, and I think we saw last year he had a solid outing as a young wide receiver. I think it was 4th out of all rookie tight ends as far as yardage and those things go. So I think he's really is prime for a breakout year here. But what are your thoughts on this, Nick? I think you had a lot of good insight into this story.
So I think the big key here is, of course, the new offensive coordinator, and that's Todd Monken. And there are some concerns shifting from Roman to Monken. They're going to use a lot less of what's called 12 personnel. That means 1 running back, 2 tight end personnel packages. There is some concern that maybe Likely's snaps will drop with Monken in the fold. I think that's a little overblown. If you look at Monken's last 2 stints as an NFL offensive coordinator, in 2018, he was with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. The league average for 12 personnel was 17%. Monken was right at that league average, right at 17%. And his 2 tight ends with the Bucs were O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate. Nowhere nearly as good as the tight end group at Baltimore, and he still was right at the league average. In 2019, Monken was the offensive coordinator of the Cleveland Browns. The league average was 20% usage of 12 personnel. Monken used 23%, and the best tight end on that Browns team was a guy named Demetrius Harris, NFL legend Demetrius Harris. I don't even think he has 100 career catches, right? So this is a guy in Monken who likes to use 12 personnel, a little bit above league average, as even when he had inferior tight end talent. I think he's going to have obviously a much better tight end group with Baltimore, so he's going to use that a lot more. And look, his time in Georgia has proved positive of that. He had 2 great tight ends, Darnell Washington, now with the hated Pittsburgh Steelers for you Baltimore fans out there, and Brock Bowers, of course, still with Georgia. He's going to be a first-round pick in next year's NFL draft. Monken used those guys extremely well in a lot of different ways, both times in situations where both guys were on the field in the with the University of Georgia. I think we're going to see a lot of that action with the Baltimore Ravens in 2023. So Ravens fans should be excited for Likely to break out. He's got the talent, plus he's paired with an offensive coordinator who will really know how to use him.
Yeah, Nick, and we have one guy that we like to get a lot of analytical information from. That's Warren Sharp. He has a lot of great information, and he has some key stats here that I want to throw out to end this on, just so we can highlight how good the Ravens tight end group is. Last year on early down targets, Jackson and Co. went to the tight end group a total of 44% of the time. They went to the tight ends more than they did wide receivers and running backs at all periods. So this is a very heavily target tight end group. But when you get to the red zone, of course, your red zone leader target is Mark Andrews. He got 18 last year, got 12 targets within that 11 to 20 yard range, six targets or one target within the 6 to 10 yard range, and five targets inside of the 5 yard line. But right behind him, Nick, is Isaiah Likely with 11
Yeah.
targets in the red zone last season, one inside the five, six inside that 6 to 10 yard range, and four in the 11 to 20 yard range. So he's already showing how crucial of a red zone target he is for Lamar Jackson and co. I think we're going to build on this. And like we like to say, they're stacking wins on that offensive side of the ball. They're really looking nicely. So I think this is going to be a big year for Likely and co.